Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Olha Batchvarov, who just joined, and I am engaged in wooden ship modeling since 2010. First as a sport, because in Europe it is a sport, until I got my Master of Sport of Ukraine. And since 2021, I have made my hobby as the only source of income, restorations, repairs and commission models, both from scratch and from kits, depending on the budget. But I am ready to share my knowledge and techniques with every enthusiast who dreams of trying their hand at this hobby. So today's video is intended specifically for those who don't know where to start and how to choose the right kit. So let me show you a few examples on the models that I have built or which are in the process of building. First, how do you think? Which model was more difficult to build? This big carrack or a small shallop? And the answer to this question will be, it is a shallop, and let me explain why. At first glance, for people unfamiliar with this hobby, it will seem that a smaller model will be easier to build. The number of parts that needed to be assembled is much smaller, etc. Also, the scale of the carrack is 1:59, and the scale of the shallop is 1:32. That is, it is logical to assume that the larger the scale, the easier it is to build too. Yes and yes, but not in this case. The difference in design plays a major role here. As the most difficult and the most complicated aspect in every wooden ship model is the planking. And the quality of the planking will determine pretty much the final quality of the model. And this is one of the main pitfalls where we lose many potentially successful modelers, because here it was only a question of choosing the right kit as the first one. In the case of the carrack, this is planks on the bulkheads. That is, these are structural bulkheads that have nothing to do with the real frames or bulkheads. They are simply created by the designer to form the shape of the ship's hull, where the modeler has more access or can put in more effort when bending the planks without damaging the hull structure. Also press with clamps or hammer in small nails, etc. While a shallop is planks on the frames. Real frames like on real boat. They are very thin and fragile. That is, the modeler needs to bend the planks separately and glue them very carefully without using strong clamping, because these actions can break the frames. And if after this review you think that I advise you to build the carrack as your first model, the answer is no. It is easier to build than the shallop, but this model is not suitable as the first one because of the planking again. This kit has a single layer planking. And look at the shape of the hull, which makes it even more complicated. Look at how full the belly is here. That is, you have to bend your planks into two directions. Not only flat like this, but also on the edge like this. And the solution to the single layer planking can be filling the spaces, like on this model. But this is a topic for another video. Don't let me get too deep into this issue. Because you are not only increasing the gluing surface, but you are getting a perfectly shaped mold on which you can directly bend the planks. But this method requires a minimum set of tools, which are not always available to beginners. The only thing that made this planking possible was the material it made of. It's walnut, which is very elastic. You can bend a wet walnut plank into a knot with a soldering iron. In the case of shallop, it's beech, which is also very elastic, but it has one problem. The edges peel off very easily and the planks look chewed. So we slowly move on the question of materials. not the last thing to pay attention to. We often see cheap wood in kits to reduce the cost, or soft wood that is easier to cut for beginners, but not always such wood is very easy to bend. This is a frigate confederacy, and who watches my videos about its constructions knows that I fill the spaces and replace the materials. It simplified the planking 10 times. But for this, you have to have at least a scroll saw, and if you already have one, you can build single-layer planking models. And let me show you another hull of the sloop, which I will continue building at some point. This is HMS Pegasus with double-layer planking. You can find videos about it in the description under this video or on the top right here. If you have a similar kit, always plank the first layer of planking in the same way as the second layer will be laid. This is a perfect opportunity to practice, and if you make a mistake on this layer, you don't have to correct it, but on the second layer, it will be necessary to do it. And believe me, after good practice on the first layer of planking, the second will be much clearer for you and the quality will be on the higher level. On the example of this sloop, the second layer of planks was also much easier to do because it was elastic walnut, and the hull is very smooth, without big curves, so it was easy to count and mark the planks. So, of all these examples, Pegasus is the easiest to plank and has the appropriate materials for this. Let's consider other type of models. Very often I see kits marked as for beginners, but they have some painted parts. I see a good idea in this, as an option to mask mistakes with putty and paint. But paint is even more insidious than planking, because to get a high quality layer of paint, you need to prepare the surface well. Paints raise the pile on wood, so the surface needs to be primed, preferably in several layers. And no matter how hard you try to apply the paint with a brush, it will be visible. Not every beginner can afford to immediately spend money on an airbrush and supplies for it. So I would recommend this type of kits for modelers who came to wooden ship model making from plastic. You already have all the necessary equipment and materials, and you definitely know everything about painting, from surface preparation to the sequence in painting, etc. Also, another tip for beginners. Quite often you can find combo kits or starter kits with tools. They are just worth to buying them for the tools. I will show you some photos here, and you can find unboxing videos of such kits in the description under this video as well. Keep in mind, you also have to buy glues, paints, shellac, solvents and oils. They are not included in the kit. So let's create a guide how to choose the right kit. First, choose bigger scale. The larger the part, the easier to hold, bend without breaking it, etc. Second, choose kits with double layer planking. We already discussed why it is more convenient and why it is much better to do so. Third, consider the technical aspects in the design. If you have to cut, bend, carve and to do lots of hand working on the wood, it already requires some skills. And the last one, it is not necessary, but if you want to make more historically accurate models, be prepared to spend more money on books, replace some materials and parts like blocks, ropes, some more higher quality fittings. So this what can make your model look much better. And let me make you the main advice how to choose the right kit. Choose something what you like, what you're interested in, so you will not lose enthusiasm in completing it. And that is why also I started all these live streams where you can ask any questions, even they are not related to the project which I'm building on the live streams. I will answer them on the lives or in the comments if I miss your question in the live chat. That's all for today. My assistant decided to show himself finally. This is all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and a big thank you for sponsors for supporting my channel. You are making this possible to make all these regular videos in the usual time. So with this, I wish you a nice rest of the day and see you tomorrow live in the usual time.